Whoa, interview time. Ayo. Hello. Hello, my name is Soren Hearts. I am the King of Hearts VTuber for the VTuber group of Altera Vita. We are a new VTuber group. Our main focus is primarily a story and narrative that is ever evolving, and especially on my side of things, I am constantly working on new lore developments and currently working on our first lore video and all kinds of stuff that I'm working on writing. And yeah, we have a bunch of different VTubers. We're loosely based off of Alice in Wonderland. So we have different card suit characters and then a white rabbit. Hmm. I can name them if you want. Okay, so I am, yeah, King of Hearts. I'm from the Western Kingdom of Hearts. Then there is Aisha, whom, hang on one second. I'm busy. I'm streaming. I cannot come to the door. Bad time. Bad time. I'm sorry, but you got it. I cannot right now. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mute. Oh, feel bad. I was yelling and everything. Anyway, well, my finger missed the mute button. But yeah, we have Aisha Spades, who's from the Northern Kingdom of Spades, also known as Iphoria. There is Korma Diamond, whom is from the Eastern Kingdom of Diamonds, and then Orange Clubs, whom is from the Southern Kingdom of Clubs, and then Valdus Fox, the White Rabbit, whom is also from the Kingdom of Hearts, where I reign. Um, I totally can, yeah. Ooh. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yep, we are. No, we have not felt it necessary to make one just yet. There will be one. There will also be a website in the future that I will work on making, but we're still pretty new, so I figured there's not really we're having a hard enough time growing our own channels, but yeah. Uh, this is gonna be very unfortunate for a lot of people here, but video content, content that is actually like staying on a platform, be it TikTok or YouTube, stuff that actually hits a algorithm and gets served up to people. As great as going live on Twitch is, it's really a gamble if someone's going to come through a stream directory and see you. And then on YouTube, it's a little bit better if you use things like hashtag VTuber in your title, which I tend to do. Sometimes people will search for that, but typically, you need to have some type of video content. YouTube's great about archiving streams and serving that up to people sometimes, but typically speaking, actually uploading videos will go a lot better, especially if you use something like a extension called vidIQ or StreamBuddy, where you can add in tags and like optimize the SEO for titles and stuff like that. In addition to that, I would say growing on Twitter is very helpful and like interacting with posts there, promoting yourself there. I hear Reddit's really good, but I've not gotten really good at Reddit yet.
No, I haven't touched Reddit a lot either. So what platforms are you on right now?
I'm on pretty much every platform. I got YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. I got every social media platform from Twitter to Plurk to Reddit to
Wait, wait,
Facebook
wait,
to
wait. What's
everything.
Plurk?
I honestly have no idea. I made an account because I was just like, I looked up what different social media places are, and Plurk was one of them, and I was like, all right, I'll make one.
Oh,
And
wait,
so I
what the?
made one and just have it there. No one ever interacts with it or like posts it in any way, but it's a thing.
I didn't even know that that was a thing. I didn't even know Plurk was a thing, let
It's
alone.
weird. Their whole thing is like these weird little like pieces of meat. I don't really understand it. It's a weird social
Wait,
platform, and
weird
it hasn't
pieces.
done anything. Yeah, they're like weird little like meat emojis. You get like plurk points, and it's I don't like it. But
Huh. That is interesting to say the least. I've never heard of anything like that. I've never heard of Plurk. That is completely new to me. Um, I do want to say though, how one thing I do want to ask, and I think I ask most VTubers that come on Blurry Lounge, is what inspired, obviously one Alice in Wonderland kind of esque, but what inspired your design more or less?
mm. Well, so I came up with most of the design. So the design is very near and dear to my heart. Every single element and detail of it is something that I put a lot of thought into. From the little crest that I have on my shoulder, um, and the crest is a little rose. It's got little blood on it. That's obviously painting the roses red. My crown is broken in half. Um, there's a whole storyline behind that. I got little fangs. My eyes are a sunset to symbolize hope for the future and a new dawn. Um,
Oh,
my the heart on my chest was inspired by Kingdom Hearts stuff. A lot of my design is very Kingdom Hearts inspired. I'm a very big fan of Kingdom
right,
Hearts.
right, right.
But yeah, I have the scar on my neck, and the little braid is inspired from a character from Final Fantasy War of the Visions. My sleeves are inspired from Alucard, from Castlevania. All kinds of different stuff came together. But it's all stuff that's near to me, and then I took those designs and references, and I drew up like a little, really crappy little sketch. I'll probably show it one day. It's awful,
Ooh, one day.
but I took that and gave it to my artist, and yeah,
Huh. I
she
guess
made it all come together.
what is it, did you guys think of the group before you had your hearts design, or was it like you were all separate before?
Uh, what do you? My heart? What? Huh?
Like the having like the suits of clubs, like sorry, the suits of like cards.
Oh, the card suits. Oh,
Yes, yes, yes.
so um, just a second. We Valdis actually came up with the idea for all of us doing the card suits. Initially, it was Korima, Oren, Valdis, and myself, and we were just going to be the four card suits. But then Aisha entered the picture, and so Valdis had her take on the role of Spades, and then she took on the White Rabbit. But yeah, it was planned from the very beginning. Valdis came up with that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it was something like. So I guess would you say that your design is more so you came up with the idea of the suits and then you like fleshed out your character from there?
Yeah, so whenever she said she wanted to do an Alice in Wonderland slash card suits thing, I immediately called dibs on King of Hearts because I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. And
Ah.
it all went to the races from there. I implemented tons of stuff that, has been in my head since childhood. I've always wanted to write up a bunch of stuff. Aisha's interested in doing some lore. Oren's done a bit. Korma, not so much. Valdis has some base lore, but she's not really interested in like telling futures and whatnot.
Mm.
I'm very interested in fleshing out tons of lore for myself, for the world, for writing all kinds of different stories and whatnot. I really want to implement different ways for people in the stream to uh, watch the stream and see like hidden hints throughout streams, not just verbal hints, but I want to like actually make like little hidden things that I can hide in streams that will like either like spell out code words or
Oh.
lead people to places to learn things about the lore. Make it as an active experience as possible, a little like ARG thing.
Oh, I see, I see. Oh, so
hmm
I've got a little question about lore actually. How much do you think lore affects like the growth of a streamer? How important do you think it is?
I think it's very minimally important for 90% of people. Um, for myself, it's my favorite part of VTubing because I've always wanted to write, and it's the one way that I can really leverage and like feel that I'm doing something unique that other people aren't.
Mm,
Um, and that's really important, is to do something unique. So I would say that lore is a great way to express yourself and do something unique before you really learn what your individual strengths are, because a lot of people, when they're told to do something unique, they're like, well, I don't really know what unique skill set I have, and so it takes people a while to find themselves. I would say lore's a really good road to finding that, but most people who are coming by to watch streams probably don't really care about lore too much unless you're really implementing it into the stream somehow.
right,
I would
right.
say design's important.
Okay, then what would you say about design? Like, do you think there is a definite like, not a template, but is there definitely a like a kind of formula that you think would work for like the perfect design, or do you think it's catered for everyone and that kind of thing?
Um, well, I think it's for everyone. You see drastically different art styles and like types of stuff, from like goblins to straight up characters that look like they're from like Cabbage Patch Kids. That's not an insult. That's like actually their design. Um, to your standard anime character look. You see really detailed stuff to really simplistic stuff. They appeal to different people, so there is a market for every design. I would say, unfortunate though it may be, as difficult of a pill to swallow for most people it might be, there does certainly seem to be a more of an interest in your traditional like cute anime girl or sexy anime girl. That is a thing, or sexy anime boy. um, but certain things that are popular in the anime viewer scene, and the anime viewer scene has a lot of overlap with the VTuber scene, and so most things that are popular in terms of character design for anime will probably be popular in VTuber scene as well. So like, I would say if you're looking for inspiration and you're trying to do design to try and catch eyes, probably a Genshin would be a good framework. Maybe take a couple different Genshin character ideas and kind of make your own thing off of that,
Mm,
because people eat up those designs. They love them.
right, right. I've actually got a
Yeah.
question from chat. Do you have any advice for people who rebrand? Not necessarily just as VTubers, but rebranding in general.
Um, well, it depends on the reason you're rebranding. If you're rebranding because you want to please other people and like, get more eyes on it and whatnot, follow what I said previously. If you're rebranding for yourself, I would say personally for me, to come into this design that I'm really comfortable with, the number one ground rule that I put down was that I wasn't going to let anything that I thought people might perceive as cringy hold me back. So, like for example, I mentioned like, I have a scar on my neck from like where I was decapitated, and I have a broken crown, and there's blood on the emblem, and my design is rather edgy and all that. I didn't let any of that hold me back. I didn't worry about the fact that some people are going to hear that and be like, oh wow, that's kind of cringe. Look at this Chinubio. But like, no, I went for it. It's something near and dear to me. It's something that I've had in my head since childhood and whatnot. Just whatever you love and whatever expresses yourself, do it without worrying about how other people are going to perceive it, and you will inevitably find that once it all comes together, people will appreciate it. Not everyone, maybe, but some people will.
What do you think is the balance between doing something for yourself and doing something for like the content, or doing something for your viewers? What do you think? Like, I personally, I think there's a fine balance between it, but what
Yep.
do you think about that? Like, what do you think about the balance? I guess.
Um, I mean, in terms of what to stream, I wouldn't stream something you don't enjoy. Like, you don't typically see me go live with Phasmo, because I haven't personally enjoyed. I tried Phasmo several times. I don't personally enjoy Phasmo. I'm open to try it again in the future, but like I don't stream Phasmo very much because I don't have fun with it. I don't feel it makes good content for myself personally. For design, you know, maybe you come up with a couple things that are really near and dear to you that you really like that make you happy, but then you also come and cherry pick some things from character designs like Genshin or other popular animes and things that are generally on average popular. Maybe you come up with some design elements you really like, but then you get it in the art style of, say, similar to maybe some of the Hololive talents. That's not to say you need to spend as much as a Hololive model would cost. You could even get a PNG and you're just fine. But maybe stay in line with more of a art style that is typically better received than others. There's all kinds of ways that you can do it and leverage different angles on it. But at the end of the day, make sure that it's a design or a stream plan or strategy that you personally are happy with. Because otherwise, you're going to procrastinate. You're not going to really make very good content. It's better to find that happy place where you're comfortable.
Speaking of content, do you have any advice for people who are beginning to make content or are beginning to, I guess, grow as a not just VTubers again, but like as general content creators? Do you have any advice for people who are either thinking of beginning to grow or have started and are thinking of growing more?
Well, if you have money, then I would suggest get good model. You don't need to get a crazy one, but get a pretty good model. And then I would say commission like stream aspects, like elements of your stream, like a good overlay, alerts and stuff like that. If you don't have money, like me, go to like Canva and make your own, or download some free assets online. There tends to be a lot of them. You can find them on Twitter pretty easily, or the Discord server VTube assets has a lot of free assets. You'll just need to make sure that you properly attribute people in the description of your stream. And what else? From there, I would recommend downloading something like DaVinci Resolve or another editing software that would be free, and then get OBS, stream with OBS, and then try and learn how to record with OBS, and then edit that. I don't mean just edit like funny moments of your stream, but like actually try to make some video content on its own. TikTok content's really easy. You look at the trending stuff. I personally have a hard time making TikTok content, but I'm kind of finding out that it's easier than I thought. If you can make some just kind of dumb meme content for TikTok and like upload it there, that's great. I also recommend doing it through the website because I personally would not put TikTok on my phone. I'm not going to go into that, but I just wouldn't do that personally. And also use YouTube Shorts. And I would recommend that anything you upload to YouTube Shorts, you also upload to TikTok. There's no reason not to upload to both of them. YouTube Shorts is super powerful. I once uploaded a short of Valdis reacting to a particular line in a dating sim about feet, and it got like 300 views within the first 5 minutes, and I was awestruck. And stuff like that is just normal for YouTube Shorts and TikToks. It just happens like that.
The algorithm for YouTube Shorts is very weird, isn't it? It's
Oh,
sometimes it feels like a gamble. It definitely feels like a gamble. I think the more you throw at YouTube Shorts, eventually one will stick. I think that's how the algorithm works on YouTube Shorts. Would I be like? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what's gonna go really well on YouTube Shorts. People tend to prefer just something really really memey. It seems. I almost want to say lower quality the better, honestly, for YouTube Shorts and TikTok. But yeah.
I mean, that is true. That is true. Sometimes what would you say is like, because you can have a very heavily edited clip or a very very like not edited at all clip, just straight from the stream or straight from the video or whatever. What would you say is the best for YouTube Shorts? You would say that it was video. It was not edited.
I would say edited. probably the most powerful thing for both TikTok and YouTube Shorts is if you can get a good loop. So if you can make it so that when the video starts over, it flows back into itself. Either you end your sentence at the end of the video with something that will flow naturally into the beginning of the video, or um, like let's say you do a clip where I don't know, you get a really cool kill streak or something, but the video ends in a way that it's like you run through a door and then it's edited so that like when you run through that door at the end it seamlessly leaps into the door that you like came through at the beginning or something. Just finding ways to loop back into itself can get multiple replays. And then one of the things that's a factor for videos on YouTube and TikTok is watch time. You can get over 100% watch time if people watch it on loop. So it's easy to end up with like 150% watch time, for example.
Oh, I see. Huh. How would you I know you said you would go about looping it, but what in terms of like the editing style, do you think there's anything that you personally prefer and anything that you think would catch people's attention?
Um, I would say just go look at the top performing VTuber clips out there, the whatever other VTubers doing, then take inspiration from it. I'm not saying like directly copy them. On TikTok, that's actually kind of fine to copy content almost, as long as you like say it's inspired by the other person's content, but like
Hmm.
try to bring your own voice to it if you can. Um, TikTok's weird in that way, but like just look at how they're doing it, look at the editing style they're doing it, and then try to do something similar enough. You'll find that they're a little bit difficult to edit that way, and that'll actually kind of push you in the direction of becoming a better editor. Um, but you'll find your own style as you learn editing, and you'll find out that some things are too much of a headache for you to be bothered with, and that'll very much also shape your editing style.
I see, I see. Would you
Ooh,
suggest Oh, yeah.
I do actually have one more tip. Go. There's a website called Combo. If you look it up, Combo like YouTube or not YouTube, Combo TikTok creator, like something like that, you should find it. Like it'll be like Join Combo or whatever. That website, you can download an MP4 and upload it to it, or you can directly link your Twitch account to it, and then you can take clips from that, and then it'll let you convert them into a format that is suitable for TikTok, and it's really easy to do a very quick edit in. So that's a quick cheat code that you can do.
Oh, I see, I see.
Hmm. That's all.
Um, I want to ask you for this is going a bit more about yourself, less so like overall content creation. But do you have any specific goals for your like VTubing career or VTubing journey?
Mm. So I get very embarrassed to talk about this,
Ooh.
but my main desire with VTubing, and the reason why like story and lore creation is mostly important to me is I really want to make a story in which will like resonate with people. I've been in very dark places in my life, and like I've mentioned that my character design is based off like Kingdom Hearts and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's stories like that of like Kingdom Hearts and like Final Fantasy and stuff like that that really kept me going, inspired me, and made me who I am as a person. So I'm really hoping to create a story, effect, or just a really a resonant of hope to try to inspire someone else before eventually my own life comes to an end. I want to pass the torch on to other people, try to give them some hope.
Almost like a legacy kind of thing?
I suppose you could be said that. It's more so I want the world to be better uh, when I leave it than it was when I found it.
I see, I see, I see. So,
Hmm.
okay, is there anything that you would say about the VTuber community currently that you would like to that you would like to change right now if you had the power to?
People having really weird parasocial relationships where they get really angry whenever VTubers get in a relationship. You don't see that as much in the indie scene, but like especially in the corporate scene, people get really weird and protective and like feeling like they have like almost a pseudo relationship with the streamer, and that's not cash money. That's not cool.
I've Yeah, I haven't seen it too much in the indie
It
scene.
rears its head. It happens.
It does,
I've
yeah.
actually had some streams where people got a little frustrated that I was being flirty with the person I was streaming with. So I've seen it kind of
Really?
happen. Yeah.
That is,
It
I've
doesn't
never had.
happen as much.
Yeah, I've never had that happen to me as well. At all. So I have no
I think it
experience in that
happens
kind
a
of
little
stuff.
bit more with like flirty lewd tubers almost. I myself am not really a lewd tuber. I'm an 18 plus channel, but like, it's not strictly unsay so stuff. Like, I mean, some streams are more say so than others. It really depends on what's going on at the time.
Right.
Um, Altera collabs tend to get a little bit unhinged, especially because Valdus is there. But um, yeah, I tend to flirt with quite a few people, and yeah, it can. Some people don't take well to that. In terms of viewers, I mean, everyone that I've flirted with in a collab takes well to it though. But
I mean, at least the person who you're flirting to takes it well. That would
yeah,
be
I'm
very.
usually I'm pretty good about reading social cues. I'll back down if.
Oh god, social cues are something that I want to talk about as well because they're so. How do I say this? Some people are naturally good at reading them. Some people are naturally like just not very good at reading them. What would you say for people who want to get better at like content creation and like doing jokes in the right time and that kind of stuff? What would you say is a good way to learn?
Uh, I don't know. I don't consider myself particularly funny. Quite a few people will laugh at things that I say or do, and I'll be like, "Oh, that worked," and I'll keep on, you know, pushing and learning it. For me, a lot of times trying to be funny is really just comes down to throwing stuff out, seeing what works. If it gets a good response, work with it more. Try to do more of that. But, if you're not getting good responses out of it, if people aren't laughing in like collabs and stuff like that, don't keep trying to force it. I would stay away from edgy humor. A lot of people like edgy humor and whatnot. I kind of feel that that's on its way out in terms of like what is
Mm,
very socially acceptable. I've also never really had much of a taste for particularly edgy humor. Um, People love lewd humor. Like basically everyone loves lewd humor.
right.
Some people dislike it, but like I would say most of the population tends to enjoy the more raunchy humor. That's why you also see a lot of like clips of like lewd events and whatnot. You'll see clips about different VTubers talking about whatever panties they're wearing or uh, trying to push their elbows together and booba and all that. That stuff does really well. So people on average tend to find that funny, but don't force yourself if it's something you're not comfortable with or happy. Um, but also don't feel that you need to, you know, force yourself to be say so.
Right. You did say a little bit about the fact that you don't find just like self personally like the funny type, but
Yeah.
would you say there is a particular like not necessarily niche, but would you find yourself in a particular like category of I guess streamer almost?
For me, I would say the thing that's particularly, I guess, I mean, it's not particularly unique, but I find it to be more and more unique as I interact with more people. I really, really care about story in like games or anything really. So I'll really get into the thick of it with like a lore or story of a game, and like I'll really heavily discuss that. I'll discuss any type of like philosophical background that it might have, its historical inspirations, and whatnot. I'm not the most well learned person. I'm not an expert on any field or anything, but I can usually point out things in a story or have a discussion about story in a way that is unique. So I would say that's probably a strength of mine. Other than that, I mean, I do play a lot of games that I don't see a lot of people give attention to, and I'm always looking to do non gaming stream content as well. I also really like leaning into collabs. Like I've organized a lot of like full lobby VTuber Among Us collabs and stuff like that. I do a lot of
Right.
everything. I'm still kind of trying to find my own niche.
Do you think having a niche is important or like do you because from
Not as much as people say.
right.
Not yeah. Not nearly as much as people say. You watch a lot of like YouTube tip content on like how to grow a channel or streaming and whatnot. It's a very easy one that people go to of, oh, find your niche. You got a niche down and whatnot. Yeah, kinda, but like you don't need to be super niche down. Especially as a VTuber streamer, most people watch VTubers because they end up liking the VTuber themselves. It's more that they take an interest in your personality. If you're not doing VTubing, finding a niche is a little bit more important, particularly with like running a YouTube channel. You kind of want it to be around a specific topic, maybe. But as a VTuber, people mostly come for you. Um, I would say try to kind of stay around a similar type of game if you can help it. Um, I'm definitely not an expert on this though. I'm still growing. I got like 43 subscribers on YouTube, and then like I don't remember what I have on Twitch, but it's in the hundreds somewhere. I'm doing well. I've
Hmm.
done a lot better than I thought I would, but I'm not crazy big or an expert yet.
Hmm. I think. Do you think that there's a very big difference between being a big and a small VTuber in terms of how you're able to make content?
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially because once you hit a certain size and you have a very active chat, chat almost makes content for you in the sense that when you're small and you have no one watching, you have to approach streams as if you're like doing an early 2000s Let's Play. You need to narrate basically everything that you're doing and saying because, and a lot of people make this mistake, you can't sit there silently waiting for someone to show up in your chat. You need to be talking and interacting if you are streaming to people who are in chat, because if there is a chance that someone clicks onto your stream and they see that you're sitting there silently, very high chances they're not going to stay. But if you're talking, you're narrating what you're doing, you're talking about subjects or things, there's a good chance that someone will listen to what you are saying or take an interest in what you're saying, and then it's even more likely that they hear you say something and they want to engage with it. People love to talk on average. People really like to put their own opinions and stuff out there, and hearing other people put their opinions and talk about things typically has a effect of encouraging them to speak up.
How would you say you would promote that chat growth then? Like, not growth, sorry. That chat, like, involvement into your streams. Would you particularly do anything, like, with the active mindset of doing something, or would you just do it naturally?
Um, Calls to action, as people call it. Ask chat's opinion on things, even if no one's in chat. Don't sit there watching review count. That's bad for your mental health.
Hmm,
But
yeah.
that definitely don't do that. But like if you think that there's a chance someone might be in chat, or even if they're not, you know, maybe you end a sentence with your train of thought about how you feel about a thing. Be like, I don't know, what do you guys think though? Let me know how you feel. And then like if you do YouTube content and there's a VOD, there's also a chance that someone comes across it and comments in the comment section. Especially if you edit it down later into a video, then that's even better chances. So that might engage as well. But just kind of asking people's opinion, creating opportunities for them to chime in. Um, the just chatting category is really overpowered. I would also say that the chatty tag is really powerful. Please don't put chatty tag on your stream unless you are actually chatty though, unless you're like willing to like really chat back and forth with chat. Um,
Right, right, right.
Please and thank you. But it's a very good tag. I tend to search for it when I'm looking to have a conversation with a streamer. The just chatting category is really powerful. The issue with the just chatting category, very difficult to hold a just chatting stream when there's no one to chat with. So
Yes, yes.
typically, when you're new, you'll need someone to at least collab with to bounce conversation off of. And you highly recommend make sure you have good chemistry with someone before you plan a just chatting stream with them. That's typically on average a good idea. By like go watch their content and stuff like that. Get a feel for them.
Yeah, yeah. Like, get a, like,
Hmm.
because if you, I mean, I would assume if you don't have good chemistry, you would. It would kind of like being talking to a person you're not, like a stranger. It doesn't really work
Yeah,
well together.
absolutely.
I think what about people who adapt to other people? For example, I personally I find myself adapting to whoever I'm collabing with. What do you think about
Mm.
like how what do you think about collabing with those kinds of people?
Mm. Um, it's I don't know. It's advantageous in a lot of ways because you can tend to get along with collab partners really well by doing that. Because people tend to like seeing their own personality reflected back at them. That's kind of a vanity thing.
Yeah.
Um, but that can be advantageous for that. It's less advantageous for the fact that you still need to make sure that you're expressing your own personality, especially so the chat has something to latch onto of knowing this is who you are,
Yeah.
and they can grow to like you. Um, if for some odd reason you really have a hard time doing that and you really just like to match the vibe of other people around you, either go fully in the other direction of collab less, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend because collabs are also a really powerful way to grow because your community meets their community meets you, back and forth, back and forth. The wheel helps everyone involved. Um, or find a group of people who you really vibe with and see if you guys can collab often, plan stuff together, and grow alongside one another. Don't leech, but make sure that you are providing value to them, help them out with things, and yeah, help each other. Find people that you know you guys can do stuff together.
What would you say is the line between leeching off someone and genuinely trying to talk to someone but they have a high view count or something like that?
Um, I've actually found that regardless of view count, most people are pretty receptive to talking, no matter what level you're at. I would not recommend being pre-debut, not having streamed, and then going straight to people who already have a community and trying to, you know, schedule stuff with them and whatnot. That's probably not going to come off too well. But have a couple streams under your belt, get a couple followers, not a lot, get a couple, start reaching out to people. I'd say start with reaching out to people around your view count level, around your follower count level, and once you start feeling a little bit more bold, you can reach out to some people that are a little bit higher. Just be polite, be nice. I think the most important thing with scheduling collabs, the absolute worst interaction that you can have for a collab is, "Hi, I'd like to collab with you." Right out the bat, nothing else. And then maybe you get a, "Yeah, sure. What'd you have in mind?" And it's, "I don't know. I didn't think of anything." That's the worst. Have something in mind. Look at what these people have in interest. Go check out their content. See if you guys have something in common. Get an idea for a couple of streams in your head, and then pitch those to those. After you like do the pleasantries of being like, "Hi, hello, my name is such and such."
Yeah.
Talk with them a little bit. Have maybe two or three messages back and forth before you're like, "Would you be interested in collaborating together?" You could even combine in that message, "Would you be interested in collabing together? If so, I had this idea." Make your pitch. Try to keep it semi-short because another thing I find the VTuber community is a lot of them don't like to read,
Yeah,
oddly enough.
yeah. Yeah, we have very short attention spans. That is something I have to admit wholeheartedly.
That's been really hard for me to get used to because I tend to be very thorough in what I write. I'm a little bit long-winded in what I write, but yeah, you gotta keep it short. Otherwise, they will hit you with the "too long, did not read."
Mm, they really will. It's one thing that okay, actually in terms of that, growing on Twitter, how would you go about growing on other platforms? Because on Twitch, I find it's especially hard to grow without using other platforms on Twitch. So a lot of
It's
people would
impossible.
yeah, a lot of people would use things like Twitter or something
Twitter.
like that to
Yeah.
connect to people. Yeah.
All right. So here's a
So
strategy
yeah,
for
yeah.
Twitter. Say the dumbest shit possible. Just tweet dumb junk. People will love it. Uh, Look at like the current trend. I don't. If the trend might be over. The current trend was literally tweeting tits. That's it.
That's
Just
right.
the
It
word
was.
tits.
It was.
Yeah. People loved it. They ate it up. It was dumb as hell. I would also say interact with other tweets. Um, there is a strategy that I find a little bit scummy. It does work, which is that you can go and follow some of the big VTubers, have notifications on for their tweets. Try to respond to them quickly. That is a strategy you can do. I'm not a fan of it, especially if you are just replying to their tweet with the sole reason of wanting to get people to see you. If you are replying, at least have something of value to say, have it something relevant. Definitely don't go spam or promote your channel in people's comments.
Oh no, yeah, do not do that. Do not do that. Yes.
But you can actively engage with them and like talk with them. That's fine. I also think follow sprees are good. People that put tweets out there like reply to this with emoji and like anyone who likes your tweet, follow each other. A lot of people, yes, follow for follow. It's controversial. It's not particularly great. It's definitely not going to get you an active chat or an active community. It can help because it'll kind of push you up in the algorithm a little bit, and if you can get a little bit of engagement on a tweet, that's something that I found interesting. If you can get a little bit of engagement on a tweet, you can get a couple likes going, it'll usually start serving it up to a lot of people. I would also recommend like and retweet your own tweets. Don't retweet them immediately, but like let 20 or 30 minutes go by and then retweet your own tweet if it was like something that you actually want to put out again to serve up to people, because it'll start sending it out to people again. Don't be too prideful, engage with things that are meant for growth if you see them. A lot of times people will say, post your Twitch link and PNG to reply to this post and I'll follow everyone, like go subscribe to your channel or whatever. Engage with them. Yeah. Do it. Don't be too prideful about it.
What would you say, because again with those like following sprees and like post your PNGs and I'll follow if I like it, that kind of stuff. What would you say is, because I know there are a few people who would actively go look for those and only interact with those. You can see them, like there are a bunch of people who would just like you see on their timeline, it's just like them posting like their model everywhere. What would you say is a good way to avoid that?
To avoid them or to avoid doing that?
Avoid doing that.
I mean, just interact with some of the other dumb shit, somebody posts tits or a hot take on an anime or something, maybe engage with that. Maybe you don't have an opinion on it, maybe you don't have a response to it, so keep looking, keep scrolling or whatever. It just looks really bad if that's all you do, so I really either engage with a bunch of stuff on Twitter, including stuff that isn't for promotion, or don't engage with any of it, I would say, because it looks really bad if all you do is engage with networking tweets like that. I would say one positive thing that you could do, I guess, and you should be doing this no matter what, is you can make posts that are for other people to grow. You can make the ones that are like, post your PNG, I'll go follow you, and all this stuff. You can do that.
Right. So I guess, would it be accurate in saying that you would prefer to be the one who would start, I guess, that kind of stuff rather than be a participant of it?
I haven't done a lot of them. I've done some shout out tweets where I have linked a Twitch or a YouTube channel of someone that I really enjoy, and then I say why I enjoy their stream content, and I actually watch them, and I talk about why I like them, whatnot. But those are a different case scenario of when you're actually a fan of someone else and you want to help them grow. That's mostly what I've done in terms of promoting other people. I'll make mention of them on streams as well and tell people to go follow them, but I haven't done a lot of the post your PNG,
right?
This and that. I guess I probably should. I kind of slowed down once I hit 2K on Twitter. I worked really hard to get to 2K. I got to 2K in a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I was kind of exhausted with Twitter, and I was like, I'm gonna take a back seat and just kind of let some of the growth happen naturally.
Right.
For me, as a boyo VTuber who's not particularly a super sexy model, I'm not doing YouTuber stuff or anything.
Yeah.
not really a lot of thing that catches a lot of eyes on Twitter. So passive growth for me on Twitter, not super strong. I've maybe grown by like 500, maybe. I don't know. It fluctuates. Sometimes I lose people. I haven't checked my follower count on Twitter because I don't like to obsess over it.
Right.
But yeah, I've grown a little bit passively, not a lot. So you kind of have to engage with stuff and try to grow on Twitter. It doesn't really happen very passively.
What would
For
you?
me.
Right, right.
Mhm.
But as you pointed out before, there are people who would grow depending on the type of content they would make, right?
Yeah. hmm
So,
it's lewd stuff kind of does better on Twitter on average. Yeah.
so for actually, I do have another question. This is slightly going off topic, but do you have anyone you aspire to be, like a particular idol in the VTuber community that you like particularly like, not replicate, but want to like?
I admire a lot of VTubers. Um, the two that I always cite, who are like the ones who I admire the absolute most, is Iron Mouse and Calliope Mori. I absolutely adore them. Um, Iron Mouse, incredible heart, fantastic human being. I absolutely adore them. Callie's also fantastic, wonderful, makes amazing music, very,
Yeah.
very talented. Uh, she was one of the original pioneers for the EN branch of Hololive. She did a lot for them as well. Those two I look up to the most. I mean, I love a lot of other VTubers. Like, I've been listening to Monarch's music, Lee and Lai, as
Right,
she's
right.
also known.
Yes.
I've been listening to her since I was like 12, 13 maybe. So I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. So I've
Oh,
always
like
admired her.
doing her English like anime
Yeah.
songs. Yeah.
The first video I saw from her was the English cover of the Guilty Crown opening because I'm a very big fan of Guilty Crown.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
Yeah. There's a
Wait.
lot of VTubers.
Wait, Guilty. Wait. Guilty Crown. Which one is that? Which anime? That's.
Production IG, about I think it came out in like 2012.
Oh, it's that
Main
one.
character. Yeah.
Right.
Very divisive. People either despise it or love it.
Yeah, I think it's. What do you think about the ending? Actually, like. What do you think about the ending?
Not what I would have done. It was devastating at the time. I don't hate the ending. I do appreciate what it's going for. Like I said, not what I would have done. I'd also love a season two, particularly because I'd kind of like a season focused on maybe remedying what happens in the ending.
Right.
Most of the anime kind of hints at the idea of something like that happening. They do kind of twist it in that, like, you kind of think that the whole time something really bad's going to happen to a different character, and then it happens to another character. But it's I like it. I would say that I like it, but it could have been a lot better. I would have gone a completely different direction than that. I personally do not like tragedy endings. In my youth, I was a lot more a fan of tragedy and stuff like that. I tend to want to consume and put out more hopeful content. I don't particularly like pessimistic stories. That's not to say that I don't like dark stories. Some of my favorite storytelling in the world is like Dark Souls and Berserk, which are very dark,
Yeah.
grim
Very
worlds.
dark.
But they have uplifting and positive messages because of all the darkness. The light that's in those shines through even brighter, and I'm a big fan of that. What I'm not a fan of is leaving people on a message of everything is awful, everything is bad, life sucks. I don't like that kind of message. There's a lot of that out there. You get enough of that in life. I don't need to hear you say it to me through a story.
I see. We do have a question in chat. I'm gonna have to try and decipher this a bit because it's not written.
Okay.
Do you think it's scary to be a VTuber and a person that uses IRL stuff when you look nothing like your VTuber? I'm assuming what that's saying is, if you look nothing like your VTuber model, would that be scary?
In a couple ways, I do look like my VTuber model. In a couple ways, I don't. My model's definitely cuter than I am. So I have often been like, I wonder if people would be disappointed that I'm not as cute as my model is. I'm definitely not really a femboy. My mom's not really a femboy, but like I don't have as many feminine features. I have a very strong jawline,
Right.
IRL and stuff like that. Um, I can understand um, that, but that's kind of a self-confidence thing in how you look. That's something that you kind of build up on your own. You know, I'm a big advocate for learning to love yourself, especially since a very large portion of my life was spent suffering from really bad self-loathing, and so I had to come to terms with forgiving myself for my flaws, um, learning to love the good parts about myself, and then taking on traits and skills and doing things that I value and appreciate that would make me appreciate myself more. And then for my own physical appearance, I started taking better care of myself. I do quite a bit of fitness. I recommend washing your face. That's a good place to start. Wash your face every night. Um, Experiment with different haircuts and whatnot. Just find a happy place where you can appreciate yourself, and also don't compare yourself as much to other people. And yeah, become as long as you become more confident in yourself, that issue will kind of become more null and void as you just kind of accept who you are, and then
Mm.
people in turn will tend to on average accept who you are as well, even if you don't look like your model. Also, at the end of the day, most people who are into VTubers and watching VTubers are there because they like you and the model and that version of you. Some people will also care about the IRL version of you, but that's kind of minimal. Not a lot of people really are into that.
Would you personally be like? Would you personally go into the like separate yourself from your IRL with your VTuber model, or would you kind of mix them both? Because there are a lot of VTubers out there who would do like IRL stuff as well, like immersion breaks and that kind of stuff. Do you think you would be inclined
Mm-hmm.
to do such things?
Okay. Well, there's some lore stuff that I can't go into yet because I haven't revealed it, but there are separations between myself and like the character of Soren for like story stuff. So I've already got separations in place in a way. And then in terms of me doing IRL content, I actually used to have other channels in the past. I sometimes drop hints on how people can find them. I never link them or anything like that. It's kind of a fun little thing that people can go out
Right.
there and hunt down channels I used to do.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I have no issue showing my face on camera or anything like that. I just kind of think that it's fun this way, and also if I ever do like a face reveal or something like that, I might as well hype it up and get some use out of it
Right.
rather than
Right.
just
Right.
immediately giving it away. So maybe one day. I highly doubt that I will. I don't think I'll be swapping back and forth in like the same stream or anything. I also don't really see myself streaming on webcam particularly, but like let's say that I visit you know Japan or something. I wouldn't mind doing like a vlog or whatever where my face is shown.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
There's a lot of VTubers who would play very heavily into their lore as like
Mhm.
not necessarily as so there's some which would have a lot of like in-depth lore and would like stick to it almost, but there's others which would just have a lore. They would have a lore, but then
Mm.
it's kind of like on the sidelines and they use their like almost
Mhm.
not IRL personality, but they would use themselves instead of their
Right.
actual lore. What would you be more inclined to do in that situation? Would you be more inclined to follow and like stay true to your lore, or would you be more inclined to, I guess, play like just yourself?
For me, like the personality you see on stream is me. Like that's just my normal personality. I
Hmm.
don't like play up a character or anything. Um, and then for like if people like ask questions about me, um, sometimes I get confused and I'm like, oh, do you mean like me or do you mean like lore wise? Um, Typically I'll just give the answer to both. Um, most of sometimes I'll just assume that they mean just normal me. Like if they ask like uh what I think about thing or whatever, like, do you like this food or whatever, I just answer as me. I don't give like a lore answer or something. You absolutely can. Some people do it. I mean, look at a lot of Hololive does that. They talk about like their job experiences like in lore. Like Callie is like, I was out here doing reaping because she's a reaper and all that.
Yeah.
I don't really do that. I don't have an issue with that. I just don't really do it. Lore is kind of a thing that I tell in a different way. I don't really slip it into conversation as me speaking in lore, personally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the best worded way, but yeah.
No, I get what you mean. So you would, correct me if I'm wrong, but you would say that you would more likely be true to yourself rather than try and like sprinkle in a bit of like lore to
Yeah.
like cover up IRL stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, my character, like personality wise, reflects most of myself, but there are a couple differences. But yeah, it's definitely it's me. It's on Earth me, IRL me that you're getting the response from 90% of the time.
I see. One thing I do want to ask you about as well is what kind of, I guess, personality do you think we touched on this briefly before when we were talking about like funny and that, but what type of personality would you personally watch? Like, is there a specific, like, I guess, type of streamer that you would watch personally? And can you tell me why?
Probably the most important thing is I despise people that ignore chat, like are really bad at talking to chat. Especially if you're like really low on viewers and like some like person in chat's kind of trying to talk to you. There's a time and place, like you're playing Overwatch or you're in like an interview like this or whatnot. There's not a lot of opportunities to like bounce back and forth with chat. But it is frustrating if like you can see that like someone's like sitting at a loading screen of like Dead by Daylight or whatever, and you're like trying to talk with them and they don't really respond to it, or maybe they give like really short answers or whatnot. So that's important to me. Someone that like can engage with the viewers in some capacity, or just make them feel included in some way. It's a bit different when you're big and like the stream goes really fast.
Yeah.
Your content takes a completely different shape at that point. I can't speak so much for the structure of that because I haven't reached that point yet. But it is a different vibe and I still enjoy it. I don't, like I said, I don't really enjoy edgy humor. I don't enjoy people that are particularly, aggressive or rude. I really don't like juvenile or like gross humor. I love, people whom are just friendly, really. I really, the most important thing to me is like kindness and people who, want to be good to others. If I see someone being, kind of a troll and stuff like that, people who like teabag at the exit gates in Dead by Daylight, I don't want to associate with you.
I see.
Yeah.
You briefly talked about the fact that the chat engagement is a really important part of being a streamer. How would you personally, I guess, do it yourself? Because I think it comes with skill levels, and it's like different naturally for everyone. Sometimes you naturally just interact with chat really well, or sometimes you just like struggle finding that balance. How would you personally do it?
Well, so for a lot of people, first of all, it's really hard to stream if you only have one monitor.
Yeah,
having two monitors is like really helpful, especially because you can keep an eye on OBS and chat, and like that helps you fix tech issues, and that also helps you keep up with chat. If you can't do that, get a phone, get a tablet, get something that has a screen on it, pull chat up on it, prop it up, have it somewhere where you can see it. I don't always read the message out loud 100% of the time. A lot of people like having their message read out loud. I almost get a little bit embarrassed hearing people read my message out loud. But 99% of other people kind of enjoy it. It's not necessarily 100% of the time, but just, read what they say, respond to it, try to give your own opinion with it. It's not there's nothing really complicated I can really say about it. Just think about it. You're having a conversation with another person, you know. Maybe you're not a very talkative person, so that's a little bit hard to do. And in that case, maybe try to approach it from the angle of if you were talkative and like extroverted with them, I guess you could do that. Just don't completely fake your personality. More just kind of trying to tease out the best parts of yourself.
What would you say? How would you do that then? Like, is there a specific way you would do that? Because talking and like being like conversationally like filling up dead space basically is a very difficult thing for some people to do. So how do you think you would, I guess, try and work with that, or would you work with that at all?
Well, let's see. I've usually been someone that's not super comfortable with silence. I used to be, but I tend to be that person who kind of drives a conversation along. I'm usually kind of directing the group in terms of conversation. I mean, I absolutely can take a backseat. I don't need to be the center of attention or anything.
Yeah.
But like that's kind of something that I've just done for a long time and that I felt would be useful for me, and it turns out I was right. Um, I guess practice, just the more you talk with people, interact with them, you'll eventually find your own voice in how you like to handle conversations, how you like to tease responses out of other people, how you like to personally be heard. And it'll fall into place, I guess.
That's. I've got a bit
Not a great answer, but the best I can give, really.
Yeah. It's hard to give an answer to something that you don't particularly know too much about, especially if you're the opposite side of the spectrum. Would you say you're the opposite side of the spectrum, actually? Do you think that...
I would say I'm extroverted.
Mm.
So that definitely helps. That's not to say introverted people can't do very well, and I would say most streamers are introverted people.
It is. It is. That's very true. And...
Yeah. I'm. Yeah, I don't know that I'd say I'm the opposite end of the spectrum. I've just had a lot of practice, really. You know, I've just talked with I from a very young age. I did not have really much in the way of like friends in person. I didn't have any friends in person actually, so I made friends like online in like online games and stuff, and then I talked with them on stuff like Skype, and then eventually Discord. So I have a lot of experience with just talking to people through a digital landscape.
Right.
And so that kind of translated itself. I would say just practice talking with people. Texting won't really help you. That's kind of a completely different skill set.
Yeah.
But like verbally talking with people, just practice that.
I do want to ask you... Wait, fuck, my mind suddenly died. I do want to ask you... what do you think about, like, the idea of, I guess, being in a... not, like, controversial, per se, situation, but what do you think of the cancel culture in VTuber communities, I guess?
That's more of a wider issue as a whole than I can really tackle. Most people mean well in trying to cancel. I understand what the idea is there. People are usually a little too fast on the gun with stuff like that. I'm a very big fan of forgiveness. So it's very disappointing to see people make mistakes and not be given chances for forgiveness.
Right.
Especially when they do apologize and do legitimately seem to be trying to be better. It's very tragic to see that. I really, especially because most of y'all streamers and viewers, you are very young. You do not realize how young you are. I understand that, like, the millennial and Gen Z mindset is you feel a lot older than you are from a very young age and whatnot. I don't think a lot of people understand the amount that you are going to change, grow, and understand things as you age. I'm only 23, but I understand how young I am,
Mm.
and I'm very mature for my age. But I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. Other people are going to make mistakes. Streamers, especially, there's a high likelihood. These are likely introverted people. They're likely people that are into like anime, games, stuff like that. On average, they're people that, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Not a lot of them, including myself, have a lot of social experiences. You might be lacking in a couple of areas of social development, so you're going to make social mistakes. Give people benefit of the doubt and room to make mistakes.
Right.
In terms of avoiding getting canceled or whatever, treat people courteously. If it's something that you think people might be uncomfortable about, probably shouldn't say it. Probably shouldn't do it. Um, I err on the side of caution. I'm probably far too cautious. Especially when I started out, I didn't even want to say or do lewd things. I've since let myself do that, but I was
Right.
extremely worried because I'm a male VTuber, and there's a little bit of a negative connotation with a lot of male VTubers that have, overstepped some boundaries.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I felt a little worried, but eventually I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let that control who I am. Um, and like I said, I pick up on social cues pretty well. That's a good skill set to take on.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe if you have a really bad time with social cues, maybe do some research online on social cues. I guess you could probably just look up stuff on learning social cues. Maybe learn a little bit of psychology.
Speaking of skill sets and like things that you can do to actively like things you actively think about, do you know any other languages apart from English?
I do not. I've tried to learn a couple languages. I wanted to be a translator for Japanese at one point. I have books to learn it. I just haven't really put in the needed effort or time,
Right.
especially because I spend a lot of my time learning other skills like video editing, stuff like that. I'm a videographer IRL, so I've learned a lot of like camera skills and stuff like that. Um, I have not yet taken the time to learn any other languages. It's definitely something that I want to do, especially because I hear that knowing another language for a lot of people tends to be a very mentally enlightening thing. It tends to kind of affect your thought process in a lot of ways that you wouldn't imagine.
Mm.
Um, so it's definitely of interest. I've also tried to learn Bulgarian, a little bit of Spanish, um, a couple other languages here and there. I've had interest in picking up
Now,
some, but eventually I'll sit down and learn a language, probably
mm,
Japanese.
right. I've realized that speaking on the like this thread, the tangent on languages, is that there's a very big gap between quite a few like different like languages in terms of VTubers as well. I find ID like Indonesian VTubers and like English VTubers are
Mm-hmm.
probably the closest in terms of like interaction, but with
Mm-hmm.
us like more Western VTubers and the like the Japanese side of things, like
Mm-hmm.
where VTubing originated from, there's a very big gap. Do you think personally you would try and bridge that gap yourself?
Um, yes, in the sense that I'm willing to like collaborate or do stuff with anyone. Like I've collaborated with Belinda Mabel, for example. She's a adult voice actress and a VTuber. She's uh, Thailand, I believe, and we've interacted quite a bit. Her English, she's still getting comfortable with it and whatnot. I would encourage interacting with people who can, like, if you can find a common ground. Typically that common ground would be English, because most of the world tries to learn English on
Yeah.
average. That's just kind of the way that it ended up being. It also tends to be that a lot of English speaking countries,
Yeah.
a lot of the people don't end up learning other languages. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, you have an advantage as someone who can speak English, because you can typically find common ground on people being able to speak at least a little bit of English. Um, if you want to take it upon yourself to be extra courteous, maybe learn a little bit of their language, that's helpful. I found that, like, for my case of like interacting with Belinda, speaking in as simple of English as possible and speaking perhaps slower than I normally do is beneficial, because when you speak more slowly, it tends to be a little bit easier for them to understand. Try to speak clearly. I can't remember what it's called, but like when you put emphasis on like certain like letters and words to like change the meaning and stuff like that, that's not really a thing in like every language.
Oh,
So
like
maybe
intonation?
yeah, like that, and like maybe don't use sarcasm and stuff like that.
Right,
Try
right.
to keep things on a basic level of human communication, and you'll have a lot more success in interacting with people who maybe don't speak English as their first language. But I would recommend interacting with those VTubers, trying to bridge that gap, and I personally do have quite a bit of interest in that. I would love to, collaborate more with Japanese VTubers and Indonesian VTubers and wherever you're from and whatnot. Love to do that. Unfortunately, one of the issues with that is that typically their content, save for Japanese content, tends to get served to me and whatnot. But like most of the time, like Indonesian content, Thailand content, and stuff like that, Filipino content won't really get served to me in algorithms. So it's kind of hard for me to find them and discover them and have a dialogue with them.
Right, I see, I see. Speaking of languages as well, time zones is a very messy thing that a lot of VTubers
Oh
have to
God,
deal with.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just because the world is so broad, and especially since we're in the
Yes.
English sphere, there's so many countries on different time zones that speak English. It's a very messy thing, and like even with this collab, we thought
Oh
it
yeah.
was.
That was
Um,
mostly on me, but yeah.
well, to be fair, I didn't
I
say
mostly.
I didn't specify either, so it's not on you. But
So
yeah.
I actually have a really good way to get around this though.
Oh,
So I definitely I need to make like some videos and stuff on this. But whenever I first started like doing collabs and stuff like that, my first collab was actually like a huge VTuber Among Us collab and whatnot.
mm,
I got very frustrated with, I didn't like verbalize I was frustrated or anything, but I was frustrated watching and being a part of the back and forth that is messaging with people, especially when more than two people are involved, where it's like, how about this time? Oh no, that doesn't work for me. Oh, how about this other time? No, I can't do that. Oh, what about this time? I find that like back and forth to be exhausting. And
right.
so I immediately was like, all right, there has to be a better way to do this. Because like companies schedule shit all the time, and
Yeah.
like they find easy ways to do this. So I was like, let me look into like what like corporations and like entrepreneurs and stuff are using, and see if there's like an angle that streamers aren't usually attacking. Lo and behold, there was plenty of options. I personally really like a site called Doodle, and what Doodle is it is a group schedule polling system, and so I can link you if you need, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was gonna set
But
it up. Yeah, that would be good.
yeah, um, Doodle. If I pull it up right now, the VTube Studio is gonna have issues. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Um, Doodle is, yeah, it's a group polling thing. So what you do is you make an account with it. You just do email and password and whatnot. Please use a VTuber email. Do not use your real email. That is the only issue with Doodle, is that the person who's scheduling the event can hover over where you interacted with it, and they can see your email address, because that is a key part of it. Please use a VTuber email. Do not dox
Right,
yourself.
right.
You should have a VTuber email anyway. You should have a business email. That's something you should have done anyway. Please make one. Um, you're also going to have to tell people about that when you use it, unfortunately, because otherwise people will dox themselves, because some people don't read very much.
Right,
But,
right. Yeah.
Doodle's awesome because you can go onto there, pick your time zone, and then you can block out different times on a little calendar thing, and it's like, it's a calendar that like shows time on it. It's not just like dates. So you can
Right.
block out time blocks. You can also change how long you want the time blocks to be, and then you can share the link for this group poll you've made, and people can come to it and they can click on the time blocks that they're available, and they can do yes, they can do no, and they can also do maybe. maybe these are a little bit frustrating,
Yeah.
but they can you can click on it, and then so for example, when I do the 15 people VTuber Among Us, I make a doodle. I have a bunch of different time blocks of times that we can do that I'm capable of doing, and when they view the link, when they click on it and they open up the website, it's localized to their time. Please check that it's actually localized to your time whenever you're viewing it. I always tell people to check to make sure that something didn't go wrong.
Right,
But
right.
it should be localized to your time. So you look at the time blocks, click what you're available to do, and then you'll see a list at the end, and it'll have people's names, and it'll be a big menu that'll show all the different time blocks that people have in common, and it'll even highlight the ones that have the most people in common on that time block, and you can really easily find out what times people can all make it and have in common. You guys never have to talk with each other at any point in time.
You don't have to
About
socialize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, essentially, it takes the messiness out of that
Yeah,
communication.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Having VTubers from all over the world also means that you have viewers from all over the world, and
Mhm.
that also plays a part in when I find a lot of people stream. Do you have a specific time that you would stream, and do you have a reason for it?
I usually like to do 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's comfortable for me. Seven's also my favorite number, and has I like it. It's a good number. It's a very comfortable time for me. Um, if you are trying to find what is a good time to stream, I highly recommend you learn a platform like Sully Gnome or Twitch Strike. Twitch Strike is more like the simple version. It's not quite as good. The data is not as good. It tends to be slower updating. Sully Gnome is a lot uglier to look at. It is a lot more complicated in terms of graphs, but it is way better data and way more accurate in updates. But you can go on there. You can search up categories. You can see all kinds of data, all kinds of graphs and spreadsheets on like what peak viewership time is, how many channels are live at these times and whatnot, and you can really strategize on. For example, I'm doing a level 1 maidenless co-op, no Spirit Ashes playthrough of Elden Ring, and so I went on Sully Gnome and I looked at what time of day in the Eastern time zone because I wanted to put it in my own.
Yeah.
What time of day Elden Ring had the most viewers, and I found that, and it was like uh, basically from 7 p.m. to like I think it was like 12 p.m. or whatever. It starts to teeter off. It's more like 1 a.m. It starts to teeter off, but I don't really stay up that late.
Right.
But that was the optimal time. That was when the most viewers were watching it, and there was also certain days of the week that most viewers were watching it. And so like I kind of try to put my Elden Ring streams around that time because that's when there's a demand of viewers wanting to watch Elden Ring. So you can do stuff like that. That's a really good way.
How much do you actively try and cater for your viewers in terms of time compared to what's convenient for you? Do you think do you personally have like a balance between that, or do you specifically try and do one or the other?
I mean, I'll ask people what's a good time for them, especially when I was starting out. I should probably start doing that more often. Again, I've kind of fallen off on that, but I do have a Discord server as well, and I've always told people that they can tell me what times are good for them. I definitely would say I ask my chat. You should also ask your chat what times they like, what are convenient for them. Um, that's complicated because especially I've had like a lot of viewers from like the Philippines
Right.
and stuff like that. So it's a little bit difficult to cater to them when I'm in the Eastern time and whatnot. So there's not really a lot that I can do for them to make it a good time.
Right.
But we can kind of meet somewhere in the middle. Typically, late day is in my day time is good for them because it's like their day is beginning, mine is ending, and we can kind of meet each other in the middle.
Right.
Hmm.
Do you have a specific what's the word? A specific kind of this is a bit of a weird question actually. I'm not sure how to phrase this, but do you have a specific way that you would go about picking the games or things that you do on stream?
Well, if you want to be really strategic about it, once again, you can use something like Solen. You can actually see what the games are that have the best ratio of viewers to people who are live. So you want to try to find something that has a lot of viewers but not a lot of people streaming it. That's a really good way to pick it. Um, I've kind of had a hard time picking streaming categories. It's honestly something that I struggle with the most, especially because most things I want to stream are not very popular to stream. Like I have an upcoming Final Fantasy II stream that I really want to do because I want to go through all the Final Fantasy games.
Right.
Final Fantasy II has no viewers at all on Twitch at all. There's no viewers for that. So I'm probably gonna stream in like the retro category when I do it or whatever because
Right.
that category does better. Um, it's a hard balance. It's a lot easier if your tastes are more like the general populace. Like if you love Valorant, that's really good for you. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I have tried so hard to get into Valorant. I'm still trying. I will eventually get comfortable with Valorant.
Right, yeah.
Mostly because so many people play it. It's really easy to collab it and whatnot. It's easy to play things like Valorant, Apex, um, stuff like that. Because for one, it's very popular. A lot of people like it. Two, it's very active. A lot of things are happening. Attention spans are very low for most people, so it's very easy for a lot of viewers to watch something like Valorant and the dopamine go burr because lots of
Right,
things
yeah.
are happening. Yeah.
I think those kinds of games are really like fast paced as well, so there's a lot of I did hear, I don't remember from where, but like one of the things that you can like market yourself is like how good you are at the game. If you're really good at the game, then people will
Yeah.
tend to watch you even if you're not particularly like sociable or something like that. But for those people who are, I guess, trying, would you actively try and get better at a game so that you can make quote unquote quality content, or would
That's
you?
exactly what I'm doing with Valorant.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
hmm Um, you don't need to be great at games for people to want to watch you. You can, in fact, you can be awful at games and people will still enjoy watching you. But you do have to either be entertaining, engaging, and like enjoyable as a personality, or you need to be good at games.
Right.
Great if you can be both. That's awesome. Uh, most of us are not that. I am not that. I'm not great at games. Elden Ring's an exception. I'm not amazing at Elden Ring even, but
Yeah.
like I am better than your average person at it. I am doing a level 1 playthrough. Like I am better than a good amount of people at something like that. So you can leverage your strengths if you want to like do skill-based content like the Elden Ring thing that I'm doing now. That is not normal on my channel. That is definitely not something that you probably would see a lot of.
Right. Right.
Um, First-time playthroughs are probably going to be the main thing that are great for most people. One thing that came to mind is if you can find a game with a community of people who really like watching people go through it for the first time. Um, Lots of people love watching Five Nights at Freddy's. That's very popular. Um, Souls games like Dark Souls and stuff like that, people tend to want to watch first time playthroughs of that.
Right.
Um, if you can find like a story game like I don't know, BioShock, Detroit Become Human, stuff like that, people tend to like it. People love watching people go through Final Fantasy 14 for the first time. Especially once you start hitting things like the Shadowbringers expansion, stuff like that. People
Yeah.
love to see the first time reactions.
Would you say horror games would be a lot like among those like first time reaction kind of things as well?
I've done quite a bit of horror games. Unfortunately for me, I'm not easily scared by things. So me doing horror games isn't quite as good because I don't really react to them the way that people would want me to react. I'm not like screaming on average or like being scared. So the content's not as good actually because I'm more brave with the content. It
Right.
actually hurts the content. And I'm not going to pretend to be scared.
Yeah.
Um, if you are a scaredy cat, like you get really easily scared, that is honestly awesome for making like horror game content and stuff like that. People really want to see you be scared.
Right. Yeah. Especially for horror. Yeah, that would make sense.
hmm
How would
That's
you...
why I don't make Phasmo. But yeah,
That okay? Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Phasmo isn't that scary.
it's really not.
It's not. It's not that scary.
Not even remotely. Yeah.
I would say there are times where it's scary, but honestly,
Yeah,
after the
maybe
first,
I get a little surprised. Maybe I
yeah,
don't get
after the
scared.
first 1 or 2 times, it doesn't really
Yeah.
hold up because it's very
Hmm.
repetitive and well, okay. I want to ask, what do you think about jump scares?
Fine. About the only time you really get a reaction out of me of it, like maybe surprises me. But even those, sometimes I'll just kind of stone face them.
Right, because I think there's a very fine line between like jump scare horror and like atmospheric horror, and I think have you played I'm on observation duty?
I have not. However, yeah, I know exactly what you mean by that difference. In fact, my favorite horror movie of all time is Alien, and Alien's not really a horror movie. It just has really thick ambience. It's a
Yeah,
very ambience heavy horror. It's also one of my favorite horror games in terms of Alien Isolation. I also like really love like in Resident Evil 2 remake when you can hear Mr. X stomping around,
right,
that
right.
vibe that it sets, that thick atmosphere, the looming dread. Love that. That's awesome. And then there's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, and then we've got the other entirely opposite
Yeah.
one, where there's
Yeah.
barely anything scary apart from the jump scares.
Yep.
It's a very weird thing to market as well because how would you from a game developer's point of view, almost like jump scares are just a part of the trade of horror games. But then again, you've got things like again like I'm on observation duty or Alien Isolation, where there's a lot of like more so like mood kind of things. But
Hmm.
reflecting that back onto VTubers, there's actually a lot of people who would like, you know, some people would make I guess one time viewer grabs almost, if you know what I mean. There would be certain people who would like try and like put out like a viral post and get like growth like instantly really quickly, um, whereas there would be other people who would slowly slowly gain viewers by just like not existing, but you get what I mean, right?
So, um, hooks are great. Hooks are wonderful. Viral things that go viral and whatnot, awesome, great, love it. Um, you'll hear a couple people say in the content creation space that it is not a race; it's a marathon, and that is very much true. Um, you know, you can absolutely have a video that goes balls to the walls. Gets a lot of people interested. They come by and whatnot. But if you can't be consistent and you can't produce something that is similar to the thing that initially hooked them, they'll leave. They'll go. And that doesn't really present a whole lot of value to you, does it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what exactly your reasons for streaming are. Maybe you live for those viral posts and that dopamine hit you get from that. Maybe you're looking to build a community. Maybe you're like me and you're like, trying to like kind of enact an effect on people. Um, or maybe you're looking for a monetary value. You're looking for donations and like to support yourself and stuff like that, which is absolutely fine. That's totally chill too. um and it kind of depends on what you're going for. But I would say on average slow and steady will win the race in this type of scene. um but if you can implement some of the stuff that will get eyes, that will hook people in, and then deliver on that hook by keeping people engaged with something similar, giving them more of that treat that they really liked,
Right.
draw them in and keep feeding them, that's even better. That is very hard to do. Um, God knows I haven't figured it out yet.
It is a very hard thing to find out. What sort of incentives do you so have you done any milestone streams in particular?
No, no, one. I did one. When we hit about the time that we hit 2K on Twitter, I like also got like affiliate, which I haven't accepted because I restream.
Yeah.
I will eventually be accepting it here soon, but I got like affiliate. I hit like 2K on Twitter. It was my birthday, so I did like a birthday stream that was like also a celebration for 2K on Twitter
Right.
and stuff like that. But I haven't done streams that are pushing for a milestone. Like I haven't done like a subathon or anything, obviously,
Right,
because
right.
I didn't accept affiliate. But like stuff like that is good, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have a different opinion once I start doing them. I just tend to find I don't know. They don't. I don't know. I don't know what my stance on them is yet. Some of them are good. Like I like having like I like the people that like put the meters on stream of like, you know, like the follower meters and stuff like that that like build up as people follow or
Right, right,
whatever, and
right,
they have
yeah.
like a goal.
Like sub goals and stuff.
Yeah, those are good. Those are a great way because people really like visual indicators and like feeling like they're building towards something. I think that's honestly why like funding items on Throne is like really good when you like do community funding and stuff like that because people see the bar filling up and they instantly want to finish filling it, especially since
Right.
you've kind of been programmed by games and you don't realize it. But yeah,
Yeah.
so stuff like that's great. As long as you keep it humble, don't ask for too much. That comes off as cheap.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
try to stay humble in your goals and your asks of people. Um, if you can give reward incentives, like if you have money to like hold giveaways and stuff like that, those are awesome, fantastic. I'm glad that you can do it. If you have a skill, like you can draw and you can do like art giveaways and stuff like that as like rewards for hitting milestones and like getting incentive for that,
Mm.
those are really good to leverage stuff like that. Um, but that kind of comes down to your own individual skills and privileges as a person that you can leverage, and that's
Right.
absolutely something you should be thinking about and doing.
What, in terms of personally, do you think anything that everyone would at least have something to leverage with? Do you think? Oh, that was worded really weirdly. Do you
No,
think?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, honestly, this might sound pessimistic, but no, in the sense that it might be that you have not built a skill or do not presently have the privilege or advantage that you can leverage. But you can set your eyes on that thing, on that skill or privilege that you want to acquire. You know, if you want to do giveaways, you can do things that can help you build up funds for such a thing. You can take on a job if you're capable, or you can um, take on sponsorship streams. I recently did my first sponsorship stream.
Oh, did you?
It went,
Congratulations.
yeah, it went very well. I was very happy with it. The sponsorship's still technically going, um, and that's gone quite well for me. And I'll be funneling that back into the channel. But like you could do stuff like that to build up funds for like a giveaway, or you
Right.
can like take up a skill like art and try to help people do that. Or if you're good at like Valorant, you can like I don't know give away coaching. I guess that one would be a little bit more
Right.
difficult to
Right.
do, but
Yes.
like
Yes.
there's
Yes.
stuff you can do.
How? Okay. In terms of being successful as a VTuber, what do you think is not more important, but like I guess what do you think weighs more in terms of having a skill set or having a personality?
Personality.
Personality.
Skill, yes, definitely. Skills are fleeting in the sense that they tend not to like they tend to get eyes. You know, think of maybe the circus is in town. People have an interest in it. They usually don't have repeat viewings of the circus. They go, they see the elephants, they see the gymnasts, unless they take a really particular interest in it. They're really dazzled by it and they want to keep seeing it. They might come back and view it again, but most people on average are going to go see it once and they're like, all right, I've seen it. Maybe when it comes back next year, I'll come see it. Personality is, for the most part, forever. If someone vibes with your personality, unless you do something that they discover you're not who they thought you were and they don't vibe with you anymore, that might change it. But on average, if they like your personality, they'll tend to stick around pretty much no matter what, as long as you're like consistent and life allows it. Another thing with like typically on average streaming skills come down to like being good at a video game, and unfortunately speaking, most of the time as you get older, your video game skills will eventually degrade. It's why
Yeah.
you don't really see many older people in esports. There are exceptions to the rule. Art skills don't really go away; they kind of only get better. So you can pick up art, and that'll continue to be a skill forever. Or you
Right.
can like learn to play instruments, but like your video game skills will eventually fail you. And um, it's also difficult because you can usually be good at a game, but eventually that game will lose popularity. It will die.
Yeah, that's the thing with current fleeting and like internet culture as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you're good at shooters as a whole, and that's easier to leverage. But like, there'll usually be a new shooter on the market, but you might not be good at it. It might be a completely different, toolkit than what you are actually really good at leveraging.
Right, right. If you had to give kind of like not like a survival kit for a new content creator, what would it be? Like what would you like let's put it in a more like imaginative way, more like not exactly in like an actual toolkit, but like what would you say is a good skill set or something like a good prerequisite to start content creation? Assuming there are any.
Above all, social skills. Work on developing those. You need to be able to communicate with people to do collaboration. You need to be able to communicate with the chat in a community that you're building. Even if you're a YouTuber, you need to be able to engage with your comments and whatnot. You need to be able to gauge what people like so that you can give them more of that. If you lack the social skills of like actually comprehensively reading what people are saying, taking it as information that you absorb, and also not letting it affect you too much because some people don't actually know what they want. You got to kind of find an in between of what you know is good, what they say they want, what they might actually want, and kind of meet somewhere in the middle. You kind of need to develop the skill to learn that. Um, just being really discerning with your social skills and using that in your interactions, and then yeah, for collaboration, social skills are awesome. Um, Learning to be dependable in the sense that you can be predictable for um, just people know what to expect from you. You have consistency in your behavior and whatnot. They know that you're not going to show your ass at a collab and whatnot, and if you do, you apologize to people, and you don't let it like affect the stream and stuff like that. Having an air of professionalism, picking up editing skills are incredible. um, if you can edit videos,
Mm-hmm.
you can find a way to make some good content and put it out there. um, Best way to um, learn editing: download the software, go in there, play around with it. Either use the tutorial that's built into it or look up YouTube tutorials on editing. There's tons of them. Some of them are even 10 hours long. Go through those. If you really need it, take up a thing like Skillshare or whatnot, learn an editing class on there. um, just mess around with it. Just keep editing, keep getting familiar with the software. If you need content ideas, best way to get content ideas is watch other content.
How would you go with, because there are those people who, again, we like who don't particularly fit in a particular, like they're not gremlin or comfy, but how would you say they how would you, I guess, stay consistent? Because as you said before, staying consistent is something that like your personality, they come back for your personality. How would you stay consistent? Because that is that is a problem that some people do have.
Um, well, mostly just keep good vibes if you can help it. I mean, no one wants to hear you go live and complain about you being upset that your view count's low. Don't do stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
nobody likes that. That makes everyone involved uncomfortable. Um, just try to keep the vibes good. Really, that's all I can really recommend in terms of consistency on your personality. I mean, people are multifaceted in like the dynamics of their personality. I mean, people are often very shocked when they hear me in collabs that I can engage in as lewd of discussions as I can, because typically in solo streams and whatnot, it doesn't really go there and whatnot. So like people assume I'm more say so or whatever, but like that's not necessarily inconsistency. More, it's people discovering a side of myself that maybe they didn't expect. Um, in being consistent, I'm more just try to keep the same level of energy. If you're very high energy, you're getting really hyped, like playing Valorant, and you're like really hyping up the chat and being like, "Yo, let's get some Pog champs in the chat or whatever." you're gonna have to bring that energy to like every single stream. You
Mm.
can't have one or two streams where you're like that, and then tomorrow you're playing House Flipper, and you're like, all right, guys, we're gonna be designing the house and whatnot. You got to keep it in some range of the same energy.
Right.
There's exceptions. Like you could absolutely be someone who like plays Valorant or whatever, keeps it like relatively high energy, and then you have like an ASMR stream on Wednesdays or whatever, and it's like marked as ASMR. Maybe some people come around the channel for the ASMR content and they don't come for the Valorant stuff. You can kind of build two separate communities that way, but you're not really going to be able to bridge the gap between the two of them if you do stuff like that.
Right. Right. So you did mention a bit about having like interaction and social interactions with other people will bring out a new like facet of you during streams, like when you do collabs. Do you actively try and I guess be consistent with yourself in that case, or is it something that comes naturally to you?
Just comes naturally, really. I mostly just read the room. Um, like I don't know. Here's if I'm collaborating with someone and maybe I make a lewd comment and they don't like reciprocate it in the way that like maybe they don't keep the joke going, they don't add anything to it, they don't really respond to it, whatnot, I'll dial it back. I won't
Right,
really
right,
go
yeah.
there anymore. I also watch people's content before I collab with them, so I kind of have an idea for what kind of vibe and stuff they're into and like, and I'll
Mm.
like I mentioned with the lewd stuff, if someone makes very say so content, they're a say so creator. I'm not gonna make a lewd comment or do anything lewd.
Yeah.
Kind of matching their energy while still keeping it in my wheelhouse and personality.
Right, right, right. I see. Okay, I've got two more questions that I particularly want to ask, and then I think we're pretty good.
Right.
So the first question I've got is, do you have any particular way of setting up yourself for a stream? Like, do you do anything in particular before hitting that like start stream button, or do you just go for it whenever you go for it?
I make sure I'm well fed if I can help it. I try to exercise, so that helps a lot. Getting the blood pumping makes the brain go burr. Um, if I've been sitting for a long time, I find pacing is really helpful for like realigning my focus.
Right.
I'm someone who actually meditates, so sometimes I'll do that before a stream if need be. Um, you could. What the other thing that I do if I'm like depressed, I actually have a playlist that I've like a private playlist on like YouTube
Right.
of like either songs or like scenes from like games and stories and stuff that like uplift me, that give me like hope and whatnot to try to pep myself back up. That's more just a general thing that I do in life to kind of avoid getting depressed
Right.
because if I'm not careful, then I'll fall into that despair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Really, just anything that you just brings you back to your stable place. That's more something you find within that you develop as you gain control of yourself as a person and more discipline. You understand what makes you tick and
Right.
how you can lead a happy life. Um, I would avoid doing things like chugging a coffee or a Monster Energy drink before stream and whatnot. Please do not develop a dependency on caffeine for your streams. That is very bad for you and will not help you in the long run. Don't do that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah.
Okay, my last question is, and we touched very briefly on this as well, but in terms of branding, um, what do you do to go about branding yourself, I guess?
Mm,
Is there anything that you particularly do to make yourself a brand? And what is your brand, I guess?
okay, so branding myself. Do you mean more? Okay, I'm gonna answer that how I think you mean by branding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with branding and whatnot, my brand is, I kind of have like colors that are in common with like red, and then like my brand is more like, I think deeply on like story stuff and whatnot, so I'll try to lean into that. Um, I tend to be a bit more optimistic, so I'll lean into that and whatnot. I often put out tweets that are, maybe a little bit more thoughtful than most of them. I like to tweet quotes that I enjoy as well.
Right.
Um, Uh, would you like to elaborate any more on what you mean branding? I don't know exactly that we're on the
Oh
same
yeah, yeah,
page
that's
there.
fine, that's fine. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess how would you make yourself stand out as an identity? How would you make yourself
Mm-hmm.
so what would you do
Mm-hmm.
or actively like try and change, not change but like try and do, yeah, what would you actively try and do that I guess sets yourself up to be your unique you, I guess?
Mm. Okay. Really, just I mean, just try to play to my strengths. Really, you know, I'm picking categories that are going to let good parts of myself out. You know, the Among Us collabs are an example. Um, I mentioned, you know, I'm extroverted. I have pretty good social skills and whatnot. So when I play games like Among Us and stuff like that, I, on average, am very good at not only sussing people out and like being analytical and observant of them. On average, I have bad matches, but I'm also quite good on average of fooling people and like you know going on murder sprees and games like that and whatnot,
Hmm.
and you know surprising people with stuff like that. Or I'll pick games like Jackbox or Tabletop Simulator with like improv games and stuff like that. Things that I can use to, you know, leverage my social skills. Or the games that I'm playing typically go a little bit deeper in lore or have metaphorical backgrounds and stuff like that that I can, you know, give voice to and work with it, which you're not seeing me do. You know, even though I've made mention that you know I'm trying to get better at Valorant and whatnot, Valorant's never going to be. You're not going to see me streaming Valorant every week because there's absolutely nothing in Valorant that is going to let me play to my strengths and
Right.
express the best part of myself. Other than the fact that it's really easy to collab Valorant because most people play it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I'm doing that because me interacting with other people with my social skills and my uh, typically on average uh, better skill set of organizing like group events and whatnot. I can leverage those things, so you'll see me do that. So like even in an area like Valorant where I can't leverage most of my strengths, I can still find a way to leverage them.
Right, right, right. I think that about wraps it up for today.
Okay, okay.
Um, before we do anything, do you have anything you want to promote?
Um, I guess just the Elden Ring streams that I've been doing. I mean, I level one maidenless co-op Spirit Ashes, no Spirit Ashes has been really quite an undertaking and a challenge. I don't know many people that are like level runs happen. People do them. You know, you'll see them. They're a bit more uncommon. Level run and maidenless is a bit more difficult. I'm not allowed to like use the horse torn or anything. I have to walk everywhere. And then like I'm also doing a co-op with my buddy, which I've not seen anyone do level one co-op together. So like it's increasing
Right.
the boss's health bars and we're having to like work off of each other. So like that's been great. You can come around the channel and see those. I put out schedules every week and you'll see Elden Ring on there. Um, I would say definitely come check those out if you're interested in seeing the game played in a way that maybe you have not seen it played before.
I see, I see. Okay, well, for those who are curious about Soren's streams and other content, his link for Twitch, and I'll probably add YouTube after the stream is over. But yep, the links are all down in the description. So for those who are curious, go check him out. He's a great content creator. Same with everyone in his group, which I had no idea about before this.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Go check him out. Go check out his Twitch. Go check out his Twitter as well. And thank you all for coming, I guess. I don't have much else to say. Do you have any parting words?
Don't lose heart.
Don't lose heart. Alright then. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. And as usual, have a good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Have a good day, have a good week, have a good month, have a good year. And I'll see you all, guys, some other time. Bye, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.